Hello and welcome to a new Fuse Open stream. I've got a little bit of a different setup right now than before, but I'm happy to do the show again, and I hope you guys are watching, and I hope you enjoy the show. Today what we're going to try and do is set up some bar charting. This was something that was part of the premium package from Fuse before, and we've moved it into the Fuse Open package. I guess they moved it, and I'm going to try and get some charting set up today. I don't really have my environment set up correctly yet, and so it's going to be a little bit of hit and run here with what we do, or hit or miss I should say, or hit and run probably the correct word. What I don't have yet is you're going to hear the noise from the Mac, the poorly designed ventilation system MacBook Pro is unfortunately on the desk, and within a couple of weeks I'll have that one fixed, and I'll be streaming through a Linux machine and just using the Mac for the actual Fuse part of it, and that should help a little bit. And I have two monitors set up, so if I keep looking over here, I can glance over here because that's where the chat and stuff are, and try to move it a little bit closer so I can see the chat. Hopefully I don't lose anything. And I'm just going to try and keep the live window over here, so doing something slightly different. We won't see the chat, we can see the live window the whole time. And without that, let's get back into it. What is Fuse? If you've never seen Fuse before, this is an open source product. This has been made completely open source recently. It's a cross-platform UI development kit with live preview on the desktop, and then it works for Android and iOS, live preview there as well. I'm going to be focusing mainly on desktop stuff because that's easier to show in the stream, but you can obviously do it on the controller, on the page. It uses a mix of declarative XML, UX as we call it, and JavaScript, and I'm going to be using the TypeScript layer today. The website is fuseopen.github.io. If I go over to chat here, if I look over the window, I can paste it into the chat for you. You can see it, but it'll be on that page as well. We'll see it there. I'll update that. This show is going to be mainly community supported, so I'll keep doing it as long as I see community support. So please follow me, retweet it, whatever. And also go over to my Patreon page and follow me. I'll create a special entry for that. I'm just looking for the number of people. If I have enough people following, then I'll keep doing this show. And for now, let's get into this. I have to find my window here somewhere. And there's a tab somewhere, and this is really weird on multiple monitors on Mac that the tab shows up on a different screen than where I am, and I don't have the tab bar over here, and I'm down in the corner, but I'll try to increase the size of this here. I don't apparently that might be big enough. Alright, we're moving stuff around. I'm going to move stuff around. My environment, as I say, is not fully set up, so it's a little bit hectic, but I thought I'd just start the show rather than get everything perfect, just to show the type of stuff you have to do during setup as well. So I have these user directories, and I have these Fuse demos directories, and this is on my GitHub account as well, and I'll paste that later in the show afterwards. My GitHub account has all of these things here. And I'm going to make a new one here. I'm going to make a basic charting one. So let's just make a directory of... No, I don't know. Just to say basic bar chart. Bar chart basic. Now, I probably could have done that over here. And I just wanted to create the file directory first. Whatever, let's create it over here. And we want to call it bar chart basic. And he's probably going to whine at me if I try to use... yeah, and this is the exact thing here, is that it sometimes get mad at me. Where this is, and I'm really slow with the interface on Mac. You always have to forgive me for that. I don't really like the interface. Where did I put it? Bar chart basic. That looks perfect. And it kind of ignored me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this and do it the other way. I think Eric had said there were some plans maybe to simplify the preview tool to just be a preview tool and not have much of the UI. So we're going to treat it that way right now. And so if I do Fuse create project or something, maybe. I don't know what it's doing. Just a second. I've not done it this way in a long time. And I'm going to do it the other way for now. Just ignore me. Fuse create project. And this is the old stuff here. There we go. We got that. So ls project. That was stupid of me. So alright, so I haven't done this in a while, but I'll get used to this again. And we're going to open this in Sublime. Sublime dot. I think that's whatever. Let's do it this way. Fuse preview pro dot. And that'll open up here. And then I can skip that part because that file thing has an error in it. Somebody would love to go in and fix that thing. That'd be beautiful. I'm not really going to be working on the tool itself. I'm still going to be working on the FuseLibs aspect of it, UI animation, and that type of binding. Again, it takes a while to start up in the stream because the little MacBook is way overtaxed by doing this, and it's on the wrong screen as well. So I'm going to pull this over here, throw it in compact mode, and that puts it back on the other screen. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. Something to note. And there's obviously nothing here right now. But what we can do is go back to expanded mode, and then there should be a menu up here. Open in Sublime, which goes, of course, to the other screen. You would think after, 10, 20, 30 years that a computer would figure out how to manage multiple screens, that if I have a cursor on this screen and I choose open, it would open it there. Alright, so we're over here. Alright, we're going to create a new file. And like I say, I haven't done this in a while, so we're going to save this as something. View.ux. It doesn't even have the right indentation, does it? I don't even care anymore. Okay, I'll just go on. Text value equals hello. Let's see if I can get something working here, right? Put this back in compact mode. There we go, we have hello. So at least I have it working there. And that was the core bit. Now I want to put I want to use TypeScript as well. We started using that last time, and we might as well, because if you have the option between, JavaScript and anything else, you choose anything else. That's my general rule in life, and I'm going to stick with that. And this issue with the terminal, I guess what's it, iTerm, is kind of annoying too, that it always changes the font size back when you create a new tab. And if I increase the size again, it can increase the size of the window, so it's really weird. Use demos and bar chart basic. So in theory I can run tsc-watch. I don't have a file yet, so maybe I should go create the file first. Create a new file, export default class, and just call it state. Give it a capital state JS. No, this is what is the extension? So TypeScript. And I really don't know why Sublime is converted to a tab size of 2. It is not the tab size I've ever used. And it's totally set up wrong, which is kind of annoying me. It must have done an update, and I would never use spaces, and I would always use a tab with the 3. So something's wrong in Sublime here. I'm not sure how I got that S either, to be honest. Alright, what do I want? I want to say this dot title, and I'm just going to do a title hello here. And right now I'm just getting all the basics set up. We're going to have to go to this one here and set up the bundle files and say start.js. This is a Fuse.js. And the main view, I'm going to have to say something like model equals state. And then we want to say title. And we have problems. What's it, man? Property called model. Oh, I typed model wrong. That's very common of me. Module not found. Okay, and that makes sense because I haven't run TypeScript yet. So let's run the TypeScript thing and watch this. And I thought I'd just run it in the whole directory. I probably have to initialize something first. What do I have to do? TSC. It's doing an init. Alright, let's do a watch now. I don't know what the defaults are. I wanted full strict. I'm just going to take what the defaults are for now. And property title does not exist on state. And this is the one we'd expect to get now because we haven't actually declared it. This is our typical TypeScript error. And how did I do that again? TypeScript, yeah. Let me open another tab. I remember where we have, and that's a... So we had the TypeScript stuff here, and I'm just going to look at this here. Alright, what do we have? We default class, and I gave it title string, so that works fine. But don't do whatever that was doing. Title is string. This is what we want from a TypeScript class. Alright, so it recompiled, and now let's run this here. Let's rebuild this. See if we actually get something working. Well, I guess not. So, there's problems. Oh, there is a hello, but that was the last code, wasn't it? Let's check to see I actually got this working correctly. I should have called it something else to make sure. Hello there. Let's see. Does that come up? Perfect. Now we're all set. A bit of a slow start, but I just wanted to show everything. I didn't want to keep delaying the show until I remembered how to do all of this stuff, so at least we have it set up here. And this runs Fuse. This sets up the... I set up a directory, I set up the TypeScript, I got the preview running, I got the basic function running. So now we're good to go to actually try and create some sort of bar graph. The first thing we need for a bar graph is some data. And I'm going to generate some... just like a stream of data, and I'm going to put it right in here. And I'm going to forewarn you that when I did the plotting APIs, I never used the model system. I think I tested it later, so I'm really hoping this works without an issue. And so I'm going to do, I'm just going to call them a data here, and this is going to be a series of numbers. And data is going to equal, well, however it is you declare new arrays. Okay, you can do it right there, equals that. That's perfect. And so what I want to do is I want to say for constant I in, and, a range of data, a range. I've forgotten how to do ranges in JavaScript. I work with too many languages. I'm really sorry about that. For I in... Well, I'm just going to take a wild guess and hope this works. It does in some languages. So we're going to do data.push, and we're just going to push an I here. So this is now exported. In the main view, I should be able to create a stack panel in the middle. And I should be able to convert this back to the correct tab size. And this is kind of annoying me that I gotta figure out what happened in Sublime, where my settings went. I'm going to throw in each in here, items equal data, and you're just going to list it first of all, just so we know that it's there. Text value equals, and then this is just the data value itself. we don't have a structure in there. And make this a bit smaller so we can always see that screen. So obviously you didn't like something I did. What did I do? What did I do? State, is the Node.ts working? Aha, there's an error there. So we have to keep this window open. And I'm going to shrink the size of this again, just so that I can increase the size of it. That sounds like the most stupid thing, but that's what I'm going to do, right? Because when you increase the size, iTerm decides to increase the window as well, which is actually kind of annoying. Alright, so what did I type wrong? I have 821, somewhere here. Alright, so this syntax doesn't actually work. So let's go and do our handy searching. How do I figure out TypeScript for loop? TypeScript for loop. What can I do in TypeScript with a for loop? I can take the first one and hope it's great. Oh, you can do C-style for loops. I don't want to do C-style for loop. There's got to be a better way to do it. Come on, give me a better way. I don't like those loops. There's got to be a better way to do loops. Anybody know how to do loops? Can't press the right keys here. Well, I guess we might just have to fall back to the C loop for now because it's not my primary concern. There must be a way to generate a range, but I guess not. Back to the C style. So I'm guessing this is now for I equals 0, I is less than 10, I plus equals 1. Now let's check sub iTerm again. It looked like it worked. And there we have our numbers. So our numbers showed up. So now I at least have data. The reason I wanted this data is this is the extent I need of the JavaScript to actually start setting up the plot. And I'm going to try and work from the help files in the plot in case there's some errors there, and there might be. I kind of remember how to do it. Fuse open, and we have docs here. The idea is we need a plot, but I don't know if the documentation for that made it in here. It did. It really did, and I have no idea what it actually opened this page. Our searching is really weird. And this is the old stuff. You shouldn't have to do this install charting anymore. This is just part of the package. And Fuse charting, it may not be part of this package though. We might have to check that. So I'm just going to add it there anyways right now. And we're going to work through the example. And we'll do exactly this. We'll just set up the basic bits there. And I need a plot. We need to give the namespace charting because it's not part of the default. And we could actually really change this now that it's part of it. It was really done there because it wasn't part of the free product before. Now that it's part of the free product, it's not really a big deal. So we're going to create a C plot here at the bottom. And I'm going to leave the last bit there for now. And we create a data series. Data equals data. That makes it really simple. And plot data. And I'll explain what this is after it works. I don't want to explain too much before it works because that would be kind of being a little bit weird. Alright, let's see if this actually gives errors. There's all sorts of errors. And it's because of the project file willing. Yeah. And we're going to have to actually rebuild this because I changed the project file. That noise in the background is the MacBook Pro acting up on me as it likes to do. Again, I'm going to have this one actually fixed in a couple weeks. I'm in the process of moving. That's why everything's a bit chaotic, including my schedule. I need to wait for the internet at a new place. I'm going to be back and forth. And so it's going to be scheduling stuff kind of chaotic until I get this all sorted out. But I'll just try and do streams when I can, but you might have to live with some noise sometimes. And alright, so we completed and nothing happened. Alright, now something happened. Now, there we go. Well, where is my plot? I put it in a stack panel. That was rather dumb because it has no natural size. Plots do not have a natural size. They only expand to fill. There we go. Now, this may look like total crap, but you can recognize this is actually a bar chart with numbers 0 to 10 here, filling up that entire area. We can split this whole thing. Let's get rid of the title now for now. Or let's just do it, yeah, whatever. Let's just start formatting this. And so I'm going to get rid of the data for now, because we don't need the data. I'm going to get rid of it and get rid of the title, and now you can see that it's basic bar chart. The color's not so good, so we'll take color CAF or something. It makes it slightly better. And you can take a width on here and say, well, let's only make it 90%. And whoa, I broke something there. Ignore that. I thought that would work. Apparently not. Oh, I know what it is. So you put this in here. The plot bar is that whole region where it's supposed to be plotted. So if we want to put something inside of it, you don't have to give a color to the plot bar itself. You can do panel with a color and make this one width equals 90%, alignment equals horizontal center, for example. Let's see if this works. There we go. So now we have a bit of spaces in between him here. There's a bit of an issue with doing small spaces, and you'll notice that right here is you have spatial distortion, you have aliasing, because sometimes the rounding doesn't work, and this is really hard to sort of fix. And the larger the spaces are, or if you use coloring, it makes it go away, less predominant, you don't notice as much now, or if you put borders on them, it's another option. So if you put a rectangle instead, rectangle, and add a stroke color and make this one fairly dark, like 888. Stroke width equals 1. It can also make that less dominant. Alright. Okay, so now we have a very basic bar chart. This is kind of where... this is pretty good progress. Now, the charting library, if it just did this, would obviously not be very exciting, so we need to do a lot more stuff. And this little document that I got to over here looks like it's actually pretty decent. And whoever wrote this thing, great. I don't recall if I wrote this, to be honest, or somebody else wrote this, or somebody else took my stuff and modified it. Let's go through and explain what the bits are. This bit at the top, you have to explicitly say the namespace for charting because it's not part of the standard namespace because it was an extension before. Good enough. Plot just says, look, I'm drawing a plot. The plot itself is actually a panel. It's a special panel with a bunch of options defining how the plot works, and you can look those up as well. The data series is saying, well, where is my data coming from? What am I supposed to do here? Where is my data coming from? We can look at later how you use multiple data series, but right now we just need the one. We're saying data equals data. And there's more options here. There's different types of charts we can do. Now, plot data, this is actually similar to an each. And what I mean is similar to an each is that this is actually iterating through the data and saying, well, for each chunk of data, for each bit we want to display, here's the thing here. And if you look at the actual code for this, this is actually derived from an instantiator. The same thing in each is. These are very tightly related classes. Or it might have been internal, but these are very close to the same thing. It's simply an iterator of the data with a few special things. And plot bar is another special one saying, for this plot data, for each plot data, create a bar. And all this does is create a panel that has the right shape of that bar to fill the given area. And you generally don't style it directly, you put stuff inside of it instead. So now I'm going to, and this is to show you this is actually just a panel. We can add a margin to this. And it should get a margin. There you go. Still a little refresh. So now we have a bit of a margin there. And so that's the basics there of plot bar. Now let's add something more fun to this. Let's go back and see what our actual document did there. So you just wanted multiple images. So I did not do that one, of course, because it's very basic. Now, plot data, And you'll see they go through the same type of things. And then we need this plot data thing. This is something special. This is an accessor to get at data for each of the individual data points. Let's say we want to put a number at the top of the thing here. We're going to put text alignment equals top and anchor equals 50% from 100%. We want right on the top. Actually, anchor 105%. Give it a BizBase. We're going to say the value is going to be plot and data dot whatever it is. What do we want? We want probably the source data. The original value. We want to stick this right at the top of the thing. There we go. And, well, JavaScript and formatting and our formatting. If anybody really wants to do a library for formatting for us, please do. We don't have very good string formatting right now. And the dot 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 is really strange, and this is probably because I don't know why it's interpreting as integers. It's probably doing like 0.0 or something. I don't know right now. That's kind of bothersome, but I'm sure if I make it a little bit wider, it might work. Half. What? Where's the half coming from? Oh, I know what it is. Alright, this is going to take a bit to explain. We created a simple series of data. We pushed these things, and we created y values between 0 and 10. But these are the actual x values. X are 0.5, and that's because we had one-dimensional data. The plotting system supports two-dimensional data, but that's the default one. And so now we have per axis plot data. I'm trying to think of how you get the original sort of object data. rel.x or source.y. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. It's source.y, and that'll explain a bit better what this is. There, now we have source.y. And just so you understand, when you create just a one-dimensional data series, you're specifying the y values. Logically, the y values and the x values are implicit. And we should probably make this centered as well. I don't know why anyone just... And I honestly don't know why this one's stuck at the bottom. This feels like some sort of rendering bug. It should be on top. But there's no sub. But I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. So what's the next thing you want to add to a chart? You want to add some sort of legend on the side. You don't want to have these numbers here usually. You want to take them off to the side. So I'm going to take those numbers off again. I'm going to leave it there in the file. And I'm going to try and remember how I add the legends to it. The legends have lots of options. And so this is the one that's talking about a grid layout. And a grid layout is a common way to do this type of thing. So we're going to stick this whole plot, not the whole plot, but this part here, in a grid layout. And you can stick this in, and you're wondering, well, why would I use a grid layout? Because this is already a panel, you could actually just stick another grid here, and well, if it's easier for you to understand, but you can also modify the layout using a grid layout. It's basically the same. And so we're going to stick a columns equals 50, and exactly as a 10, 1 star. And rows, I'm just going to stick with one row for now, okay? And there's a couple things we have to do. The first thing we want to do is we want to put the numbers up on the side, the plot axis. Now I think there's something missing there because we actually need to have axis equals y. And I'm thinking the reason why you don't have to do that is that's most likely a default. That was some use case that required it, but that seems rather silly to do. Label for that, and the value equals plot access.label. And then he's going to stick an empty placeholder in here for now, so we can see at least what this does. something wrong. Whoa! And this should not have been that. That's might be what you want to use a grid for instead, but whatever. I'll just do it this way, it's more fun. More fun, I say. Just as I say, it's more fun. This is Alright, and the reason why this got really weird is because plot data does not introduce a panel itself. It's going to take all the children and stick them directly in the parent. This was the most flexible way. So if you actually want to combine this into a single panel, which you should for a grid, you actually have to stick that directly in the panel. And now it's a bit small because the grid layout is 1, and it should be 1 star. There we go. And where are my numbers? Now this thing is, why do I not have numbers here? That's a good question. Plot axis equals y. Technically shouldn't need that. And I'm trying to move Sublime over. We should be able to see the whole thing. Yeah, there are problems. Requires access. See, it requires access, so the thing is wrong. And hey, this is kind of cool. Somebody actually implemented the extended information. I really like that. That was one of the... I provided this in a patch a little while ago that I provided it to the UI. I'm very glad to see it actually made it into the UI. So it's a lot more detailed than what we had before. Now I have to figure out why I don't have a plot axis. Review the API. This should make links. We never did have a good linking system. It was very hard to make links. Plot access data is if you want to do this manually. Instead of just saying a plot access, you do plot access data, and it just lets you do all of it on your own. So let's look up a plot access instead. I'm just using a simple approach now. And the simple approach should have worked for us. Plot access. There we go. No! Our search sucks. Guys, whoever's working on search, let me actually search the API. Oh, there it is down there. Charting. Why would... This is really weird. Whatever. Let's go down here. So I have the grid layout, I have the data series, and I have the axis. And there's all the inherited stuff, but I don't seem to have an example. Plot access value equals plot access dot value. Template label. That should have worked. Now I'm trying to understand why not. We might not have a label. Do we have a value? We might have a value. Yeah, that would that would make sense. Okay, so like I said, I'm not used to it again. We have a value. There's actually more stuff in there. Right? There's plot access label. Yeah, label only works if the source data had label, and right now we don't have extended information. So value, and value is the range value at that point where it goes up to. And some other options you'll get used to it. Now the next one we want is plot ticks. So we have the numbers, now we can do plot ticks. And I'm just going to copy this thing here. Although it's actually wrong. I want. Come on. And my Sublime disappeared. That's weird. Okay, so instead of panel, I'm going to add a plot ticks now. And this axis equals y. And the axis line equals 1. Alright, I'll explain that in a second. There you go. And so now you actually see an axis. So the numbers don't line up, and that's because, well, hey, I didn't specify an alignment. This takes up that whole area there, and it's actually a box around the middle. So if you actually set alignment vertical center, this should, that centers it the way you'd want it. The API is fairly generic and low level. When I built it, I was thinking, well, we don't want to produce one type of chart, so I left a lot of things to be very generic, so you actually have to apply some sort of styling on it, otherwise it won't work. And this is actually probably center right is even better here. And you might want a margin on that. Margin equals 5. There we go. So now we have the values, and we don't have to show them down there. And that's the basic chart. And what does this access line 1 mean? Now, access line 1 means, like, show what happens if I stick it at 0. It sticks it to the other side, and you can stick it in the middle, and you can write that. It's just saying, where does this line go? There are other ways to create this line. You can actually use the plot access data, which iterates over the plot access information, and manually create the dashes. But it's really complicated, and if you just need little ticks, you're going to use this plot ticks thing, and it sets it up. So now you can see how we created the chart. We have a grid with 3 elements. We have the actual labels, and the ticks, and the actual values here. We have separate options, the same type of options for the bottom, how to create like bottom labels as well. I'm just going to sort of gloss over that one now. I want to give a good introduction today. And let's show one thing that these things are actually live. That if we do clicking on this, and let me create a button at the top. Panel padding equals 10, 2, color equals, I don't know, cat, why not? Text value, I'm just going to put a star in here. And sometimes, I don't know why, you still have to click to get the reloading thing on. And when we say click, we're going to say randomize. We're going to randomize the data when this happens. Randomize. This .data.clear. And we do the same thing. We're going to add 10 random bits of data. And I'm just going to leave them at, I'm going to make them a bit higher now. So let's do this. Let's do math.random. And we'll make them up to, let's say 100. Sounds good, yeah? Auto reload failed. I don't know. Where's it? Is it unhappy now? Refresh. Oh. Type some. Oh, I missed this yet. What do we have here? Randomize. Function not found. Randomize. Why is it not found? Oh, maybe let's check our TSC. Clear does not exist in the type number. How do you clear an array? It's not relevant. Let's just do this. Well, randomize is there, so give me a break. Where is it? Oh, this probably shouldn't have that there. That's why. Is it happy now if I click this? Ah, now we get random data. And you notice the chart, it chooses a suitable chart. In this case, I'm going to go up to 100 when I'm to 90. And it has a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of logic. I sat down and went through a lot of charts and figured out what seemed to be reasonable charts. And I wrote an article about this one. I can point this one out. And So it always tries to get sort of pleasing numbers here, ones that you might pick naturally. And here they are, pleasant stepping values for a chart. And you notice I used that, you can make, this is using the exact same API. So this was using the exact same API. I wrote this at the time. You can do charts like this as well, multi-valued steps. And I might as well copy this for reference over to chat. Anybody watching the show can look at chat after, and I'll put it on the description. And so you notice like this would be awful, and so instead this goes through the code that did it. It's just an interesting way to code, but there's some examples of how you do it. You can do things there as well. Okay, so now we have random data. And this is kind of fun, but now the issue is that, well, what if we want animation? So I'm going to show one more bit here, one more bit of animation. Also, if you don't like the dynamic ranges here, you can fixate. You can basically say, look, this is a min-range, min-max of 100. And I'm just going to leave it for now. The reason why you might want to do that is because if you do have varying dynamic ranges and you do want to animate, you might have some weird jumping, because if the axis range changes and you have animation, it may look weird, but I think it actually works. I don't remember what I did with that. Let's see if this actually talks about animation. Oh, it does not. That's unfortunate. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this. There's the animators. The plot bar class has a shortcut called attractor, plot bar. And this attractor makes it a lot easier to, well, animate things. And unfortunately, I don't appear to have an example of how to use it. But we can guess. We have an attractor. The attractor is an attractor config. So we're going to create an attractor config somewhere. And the units equal... I had to check whether this is points or relative. It's very possibly relative. And I'm just going to say elastic, whatever that means. Like elastic. UX name equals bar anim. And then in the bar, we can say attractor equals bar anim. And we hope we don't get any errors. Of course we do. Oh yeah, we can't. I just do it global for now. I'll let somebody else explain that error who's watching the show. And this is just units. It even complains. That's good. Thank you. I recall entering something like that. So it's going to complain, and the chart's going to actually say, hey, look, I'm expecting normalized here. That's really cool. I assume I wrote that. I don't know. Okay. And now you can watch that they're animated. So this is the simplest way to animate them. And elastic is a little bouncy, but I'm okay with that. So this is the standard attractor config. You can put whatever parameters you want in there, and this is CNC swayed. And all the standard things like plot bar, plot wedge, and I think plot dot, they all accept this attractor. You can set up manual attractors based on positions and stuff. You can manually create all these things as well, but this was such a common use case that I said, look, we should really just make this super simple to do this way. And so that's what we've done. We have the basic animation for this. And if you notice things pop out of the top, this is actually one of the nice things that Fuse offers, and it always did, is that you're not automatically restricted to the content of your area, and so you can have momentary overflow, and it's just not a big deal. And so now we have this animated graph. It's the very basic graph. And I think I'm going to leave it at this today, because I think we covered a lot of ground, and I'm just getting used to the tooling again, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with this. So I've got this bar graph now, and you see all the code, and I'll put this in the description of the show, where all this code is, not how it works, where the code is, and I'll try to keep things updated. And I hope you watch I hope you like the show if you watch. If you're using Fuse, just let me know the types of things you want covered. Otherwise, I'm going to keep covering. I'm going to probably do a few more charts, but I'm going to go back to Dribbble then. Dribbble had some nice stuff, some animations. We're going to try and recreate them. Please do follow the show, and if you want to see the show keep going, please go over to my Patreon account and just sign up there. Give me something. I'm just looking for the numbers. I want to see how many people are actually interested in going. This is not a commercial project anymore. I do not get paid to do these streams anymore, so this is in my own time. And so I really want to see that the community grows, and I'll keep doing these things if I see the community is interested in them. And so please do support me with that. Again, I'm looking for the numbers of people, not like monetary value. I just want to see that support, and then I'll keep doing them. And I'll go at least for a month now to see how it works out, see what type of response we get. And please join us over on the Slack, and you can also follow me on Twitter, or follow Fuse Open on Twitter and talk there, and I'll try to respond to things there as well. I would be very happy to see this product continue in the open source form, and I'm very happy to support it as long as I see the community support behind it as well. So I'm going to leave this as sort of the first show in the new Fuse Open phase. We covered some charting. This wasn't available in the previous Fuse Open. It was part of the premium package, and now it's there, so now we can use it. And I thank you very much for watching, and please give me feedback. Again, I apologize for the noise, and I'm in the process of moving, so there's going to be a lot of weird things. My schedule is unfortunately going to be random. Once I get everything done, we'll have a fixed schedule on how this works. But I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll see you again soon.